So just to give you an example here, all right, what the Heat have to do, like they're not going to catch the Nets. And like I said, I don't mind them being 7th. I don't mind them having to play that playing game. I think it's going to work out just fine. I think it's actually going to be a lot of fun. But just as an example, what the Heat would have to do to catch the Nets. And Knicks too, for that matter. So let's look at it. The Heat are 38-33. The Nets are 39-30. They're 3 back. You got to look at the loss column. Now, the Heat play the Nets one more time. The Heat have already lost the season series because they're only playing one more time, and the Nets won the first 2 games. So they do not own a tiebreak here. They're going to lose that tiebreak. If the Heat are 38-33. If they go 8-3 the rest of the way, which I think is asking a lot when they're 5 games over 500 through 71 games. You want them to go 5 games over 500 in the final 11. I think that's asking a lot. We'll see. Like, they've won 5 of their last 7 right now, so if you want to put that entire stretch together, they would finish the season winning 13 out of 18. That's what you want going into the playoffs. You'd feel pretty great. But let's just do it for argument's sake. Can the Heat go 8-3 in these final 11 games? They finish the year with 46 wins. If the Heat go 8-3, in order to finish ahead of the Nets and out of the play-in, the Nets, who I thought were going to take a nosedive. I didn't think they were going to miss the play-in, but I thought they were going to take a nosedive. I'm wrong about it. They have not. They're playing good basketball. The Nets are 39-30. If the Heat go 8-3 the rest of the way, the Nets would have to go 6-7 for the Heat to finish ahead of them. Do you believe that the Heat, now they do play each other once in that stretch? Can the Heat go 8-3 and the Nets would then have to go 6-7? It's not very likely. The Heat go 9-2, the Nets would then have to go, the Nets can go 7-6. I still don't even know. I think it's less likely he go 9-2. Now, if the Heat are not 8-3, if they go 7-4, the Nets would have to go 5-8. I thought 8-3 was a good baseline. If the Heat go 8-3 the rest of the way, do you believe that the Nets can go 6-7? I don't know that either one of those are going to happen. Let's look at the Knicks. If the Heat go 8-3 the rest of the way. Now, the Heat and Knicks play 2 more times. That's a good thing. You can make up 2 games right there on your own. But they will not own the tiebreak, the Heat, because the Knicks won the first 2. Now, the Heat, they will actually win the tiebreak against New York in that scenario because the Heat are going to be division champions while New York won't be. So they could finish with the same record as long as they beat New York both those times. Let's say they beat New York both those times. Let's do it for argument's sake. Then you only have to finish with the same record and you would win that tiebreak. All right? So if the Heat go 8-3 the rest of the way, in that 8-3 stretch, they beat the Knicks both times. That's the key. Then the Knicks have to go 5-6 in their final 11, including 2 losses to the Heat. They would finish with the same record. The Heat would win the tiebreak because the Heat are going to be Southeast Division champions, and the Knicks are going to finish, what are we talking? They're going to finish, it doesn't even matter. In their division, the Knicks, let's see, in the Atlantic, they will finish 3rd. Yeah. So the Heat will win that tiebreak based on that. But again, if the Heat go 8-3, they also have to beat the Knicks both times. And then the Knicks have to go 5-6. If the Heat go 8-3, but don't beat the Knicks both times, the Knicks would then have to go 4-7. Knicks are 41-30 right now. Do you feel like they're going to go 4-7 in the final 11 games? So just to give you a little bit of context here, why the Heat are not going to catch either one of those teams. It is what it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal either. Now, we'll get back to the NBA here because you had some Ja Morant stuff yesterday. And everybody knows now he's been suspended 8 games by the league. There you have it. The Panthers tonight. So, this is a big one. Panthers are back in action now. They've been off since Saturday. Well rested. They're playing Montreal. Canadiens stink. Game's here. You have a lot of Canadiens fans. It's going to be a lot of fun. But why is this a big deal? Well, I'm not talking big deal or not a big deal right now. Why is this a big deal? Well, we're now, because the Panthers have had such a long layoff, we're in a place now where the game's in hand. We have either a clearer picture what the Panthers need to do to catch the wild card spot, or the Panthers now have the favorable remaining schedule. So the Panthers are the first team on the outside looking in of the 2 wild card spots. The first wild card spot is held by Pittsburgh. They have 78. The Islanders, they also have 78. Then the Panthers have 73. So the Panthers are 5 points back, which is a lot. The Panthers are 5 points back of both those teams. But here's the thing. The Panthers and Penguins have played the same amount of games. They both have 15 remaining. So while 5 points is a lot to make up from the Penguins, at least now you know where you're at. Because for most of the year, the Penguins have had like 4 and 5 games in hand. Well, all those games have been made up now. So now we know if you're going to catch the Penguins in these final 15 games, you need to make up 5 points. And the Panthers, the tiebreak, the Panthers have 28 regulation wins. The Penguins have 25. Now, is that the first tiebreak or head-to-head? I don't know. And I'm not sure what the Panthers head-to-head mark with the Penguins is, although the Panthers took that ass a couple of weeks ago. Panthers are 5 back of Pittsburgh. They both have the same games played. The Islanders won last night, so that stinks. Panthers would have been in a real good position. Islanders won at Anaheim last night 6-3. But while the Panthers are 5 points back of the Islanders, the Panthers have 3 games in hand. Those are 6 potential points available to the Panthers that are not available to the Islanders. So you do the math there. The Panthers are in a good spot when it comes to catching the Islanders for that second and last wild card spot. Now let's do a quick check here. Let's see if the Panthers have the Islanders again before the end of the season. I don't know. Let's check it together. All right, the Panthers, Islanders, let's see. They do not. You were hoping that they did. They do not see the Islanders again. That's okay. But 5 points back, 3 games in hand. And that means a game like tonight against Montreal, who stink. Canadians are not making the playoffs. Canadians have 60 points. They're 3rd from last in the Eastern Conference. This kind of game's a must-win game for the Panthers. So you got a chance here now to... This is one of those games in hand because I doubt the Islanders are playing tonight. I'm pretty sure they played back-to-back. Yeah, the Islanders are not playing tonight. So this is one of those games in hand that the Panthers have on the Islanders. Have to win it. Have to be sitting 3 points back at the end of tonight with now 2 games in hand. Huge game for the Panthers coming up tonight. And after tonight, the Panthers then on Saturday, they're home against New Jersey. New Jersey's really good. And then after that, on the 20th, Monday night, they're at Detroit. That's a huge game because Detroit is kind of hanging on for dear life in the playoff picture, although they're really in big trouble. They have 69 points. So they're 9 back of the Islanders and the Penguins. But you understand what I'm saying here. So tonight, we got the tournament going on, and we have a monster Panther game. Very, very excited about the Panthers tonight. Have to win this game tonight. So that's what's going on there with your favorite little hockey team. So if I could circle back real quick to the NBA. Ja Morant yesterday had a sit-down with Jalen Rose. Now, why do you have to sit down with Jalen Rose? Look, Jalen Rose, I don't know, they kind of stuck up for him, but Jalen Rose was like super supportive when he was on the NBA Today about, I was Ja Morant. I was in that position. I understand what's happening here. And so he's giving like the good advice, You know where I stand. I have a hard time with the empathy for Ja Morant in this situation. I just don't understand how stress, forget the part that he's a millionaire athlete, but we're so stressed out that it equates to guns. Gun violence is where we're at. And we're not just talking about, Zaz, what are you talking about gun violence? Just holding up a gun. Okay. I mean, maybe your definition of gun violence is different from mine, but let's do that. Where I was just holding up a gun. How about beating up a 17-year-old and then coming out with a gun, under your waistband? How about his crew being banned from the arena because of laser pointers, which the Pacers head of security swears was a gun at the Pacers traveling crew? How about going to the mall and beating up a security guard, his guys? I mean, like, there's a pattern here of gun violence. So I don't have empathy for Ja Morant. I don't have patience for stupid. And that's what we're talking about there. But Ja Morant yesterday sat down with Jalen Rose. Let me give you a little bit of that.
You at the spot, shotgun Willie's. I've been there. You are holding a gun. And we both know how dangerous that can be. Whose gun were you holding?
Well, the gun wasn't mine. It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence, but I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show everybody who Ja really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative.
Look, he deserves a second chance. You know I love second chance stories. We've talked about many examples of this. He deserves a second chance, and we'll see what he does, I guess, with the second chance. Like, let him go out there. If the rest of his career he's a great citizen and he stops this bullshit, then that's what we're going to remember. This will be a footnote, man. Guys like Allen Iverson, I don't remember if there was gun violence with Iverson, but it was a big thing at the beginning of Iverson's career. We've talked to Raja Bell about it, how there was a lot of noise surrounding Iverson's crew, his posse, And Raja told us he never saw anything that was, because Raja was on those early Sixer teams, that he never saw anything that wasn't cool in regards to that. But there was a lot of noise about that. Well, now you look back, that's a very small footnote in Iverson's career. Iverson is pretty much universally loved, all right? So maybe that, I love Iverson. Maybe that'll wind up being a thing with Ja Morant, where this will be a tiny footnote in a really long, great career, and someone who was a great example and a role model and just a good citizen. That may wind up being the case. But the part that I struggle with, and I don't think Jalen asked him about any of this, what about all those other incidents? Like, they focused there on it wasn't his gun, he just held it for a little bit, wasn't on the team plane, wasn't in the locker room, all of that. Okay, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. But what about all the other incidents that I just mentioned? What about all the other stuff? There is a pattern here. It's not just one stupid incident of holding up a gun on Instagram. There's a bunch of violent incidents we're talking about here. We didn't ask about any of that. And then there's the second part, which I also object to. That's not who I am. I don't condone violence. And I'm going to show everybody that's not who I am. It's like when someone says the N-word, right? You got a white guy who gets caught saying the N-word. That's not who I am. Why the fuck did you say it? You're never going to catch me saying the N-word because it's not who I am and it's not in my vocabulary. How is it not who you are if you said it? Same thing when you got guys who were caught with, saying homophobic slurs. That's not who I am. I got tolerance for everybody. Well, why'd you say it? You're not going to catch me using the homophobe, using the F word, because that's not who I am. It's not who I am. I don't do things that don't represent who I am. It's not in my vocabulary. It's not in my actions. So that's not who I am. Why'd you do it then? I'll never understand that. Maybe I'm being obtuse. But I never understand the whole, that's not who I am, and I'm going to show everybody that I'm a different person. I don't get it. I don't say or do things that aren't me. The things that I do, it is me, whether it's good or bad. So that part, I don't know. I'll never understand that. The other big news that was out there yesterday, Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers usually does Tuesdays on the Pat McAfee show during the NFL season. But he did a special Wednesday edition on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. We're all sitting around. We're waiting for 1 p.m. That's when it was announced. I watch McAfee almost daily anyway, but I especially put it on for 1 o'clock. Let's get Aaron Rodgers on there. And Aaron Rodgers, now look, I mean, it took him forever to get to him. My God, just blabbering on and on, this guy. He's really tough to swallow these days, Aaron Rodgers. And eventually gets around to telling everyone that, yeah, he intends to play for the Jets. Now, I don't know that helps anyone's negotiation because he's intending to play for the Jets. The Jets are already making moves to appease Aaron Rodgers. The compensation is what's holding it up, as Aaron Rodgers said there. Everybody knows now it's the Jets and no one else. What's stopping the Packers from saying, yeah, we want 5 first-round picks? The Packers are the ones who have all the leverage. We want 5 first-round picks. He's only going to play for you. You already said it. You're already making moves. You're not in a position to negotiate. We want 5 first-round picks. What's stopping the Packers from doing that? Now, maybe what's stopping the Packers from doing that, although the relationship doesn't seem to be very good right now, but maybe what's stopping the Packers from doing that is they want to do right by Aaron Rodgers. Because no matter how difficult Aaron Rodgers was the last few years, the fact of the matter is he won a Super Bowl. He's an all-time great quarterback, and the Packer organization should be grateful for everything Aaron Rodgers has done. No matter what the relationship looks like right now, they should be super grateful for Aaron Rodgers. That's true. So maybe that's what holds it up. But here's Aaron Rodgers, and this is an example of why I think it's going to be a mess. I don't think it's going to work in New York. It's why I don't care as a Dolphin fan, Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. I'm not worried about it. Not just because we got Jalen Ramsey on one side, we got Xavier Howard on the other side. No, that's not why. I think that it's going to be a disaster, and here is an example.
When I came out of the darkness, something changed. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but something changed. And I got back to my phone after 5 days off of it, because your phone's not on the entire time. There's no Wi-Fi on that, hippie mountain. And when I got back to that little shack they have where there's one bar of Wi-Fi, and got back to the hundreds of text messages and emails and all different things, I realized that there'd been a little bit of a shift. And that I heard from multiple people that I trust around the league, players mostly, that there was some shopping going on, that they were interested in actually moving me. And at this point, I got to admit, I went in the darkness 90% retiring, 10% playing.
He went into the douchebag darkness 90% retiring, 10% playing. You've heard you've heard from guys who've retired who will say the moment you're thinking about retiring is when it's time. 90% retiring, 10% playing. So now the Jets, who knows what they're going to give up to get this guy? It certainly doesn't feel like he's going to play any more than one more year. If a year prior he was 90% retiring, 10% playing, and it sounds like he's playing to spite the Packers. Oh, this is what's happening? This is what you want to do? You want to try and trade me? You know what? I'm not going to retire. I'm going to play, and I'm going to stick it up your culo. That's not... but Zaslow's going to be super motivated. A guy who's 90% checked out at one point is not a guy who's super motivated. It was one of what I thought was a It's why I didn't think Tom Brady was going to finish this past season with the Buccaneers. Remember I said at the beginning of the year, and he was missing all the time in training camp, and we eventually found out it's because he's going through a divorce and all that. But one of Tom Brady's greatest, if not his greatest attribute, is how committed and dedicated and just crazy intense about football. And going into last year, it didn't sound like a guy... it didn't sound like he was Tom Brady anymore. He wasn't doing the things that made him Tom Brady anymore. And especially because the Bucs got off to a slow start, I thought, you know what? I could see him not finishing the season. Because this isn't what made Tom Brady Tom Brady. He has to be not 100% in. He had to be 1,000% in. And it didn't seem like he was. And now Aaron Rodgers, especially a game of football, which is so violent. Aaron Rodgers was 90% retiring, 10% playing. and you feel like this is going to work out? Nah, I don't. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a disaster. I love it. I'm going to see a Jet fan. I'm going to laugh right in their face. Laugh right in their face. All right. Hey, I want to remind you guys, Johnny Cuba, you know it's the beer of choice. Today is 316 Day, March 16th. That's Austin 316 Day. What better way to celebrate 316 Day than cracking open, cracking together, and guzzling down a six-pack of Johnny Cuba. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. You know you can get that Johnny Cuba Picante hot sauce made with the finest Jamaican peppers at Broward Meat and Fish as well. Remember, always drink responsibly. Best place to drink a Johnny is right at your home, right in your backyard. Hey, right next to the pool here in the ZASLOW mansion. Come on now, you know what I'm talking about. European roots, but with a Caribbean soul. A refreshing German lager in a can. Johnny Cuba. Of course, Johnny Cuba always reminds you to stay tranquilo. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. Yes, we wrap up a show with all the big stories that we haven't been able to get to earlier. Big deal or not a big deal? So yesterday was Wednesday, which means on First Take on Wednesdays, my guy, I mean just the greatest, the Hall of Famer, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I love him so much. And what a home run addition he's been to First Take. He's the best. Mad Dog yesterday, I guess they do a segment every week where he loves yelling about things, where he yells about things that are making him upset. Well, he is tired of the behavior on commercial airplanes.
Has anybody flown coach lately? Has anybody been on an airplane lately? What a disgrace! I just came back from the beautiful 10. I just came back from the Caribbean. Can you imagine what they bring on these planes, these people? They bring luggage. They bring tuna fish sandwiches. They bring black coffee that spills all over the place. They have all these bags. They put the bags in the first class compartment when they're sitting in 36F. This is an absolute disgrace. You can't travel anymore. The airline doesn't give you a darn thing. You get a peanut, you should be happy. A glass of water. No wonder he flies wheels up. And so do I. And so do I. What a day. Okay, I was so freaked out a week ago Tuesday in St. Martin. I'm in a first class seat. It was so jammed, so overwhelmed with people, and so noisy. If I didn't have a volume, I would have jumped out of the cargo door. That's how bad it was. Travel in America today is nuts.
It's a big deal. Mad Dog is so right. I mean, I don't have to tell you, like, when I was a kid, you would dress nice to go on the plane, you know? It's a zoo, some of these flights. It really is. Flying is a pain in the ass. That's why he's talking, like, wheels up. What he means when he says wheels up is fly private. That's what he means there. So this is a big deal. Mad Dog's right. The people's behavior on planes, it's an abomination. It's a disgrace. Big deal or not a big deal? So the Oscars were Sunday night. And I watched the Oscars. I enjoyed it. I watched it start to finish. And the in memoriam category, Lenny Kravitz performed a song while they were flashing the names and the photos on the screen there for those who in the film industry who had passed away. And a lot of people were upset at the end because there always seem to be certain people, certain names that are left out. And it's like, why does this happen every year? And so this year, Tom Sizemore was left out. Anne Heche was left out. Paul Sorvino was left out. How the hell is Paul Sorvino left out? His family was very upset. And the Academy released a statement a day or two after that. There's a QR code that flashes on the screen, and that's so you could scan the QR code and you could see a whole list of everyone, not just the people who they put on the in memoriam on the show, but everyone who they're honoring. You can go look at the list. That's fine and dandy, but Paul Sorvino, even Anne Heche and Tom Sizemore, they need to be on the in memoriam on the broadcast ahead of the guy who holds the camera, the guy who does the lighting, the woman who does the costumes, who none of us have heard of. God bless them. Their lives were very meaningful. But I, the viewer, I don't know who they are. I know who Paul Sorvino is. You're doing this for the viewer at home. I'm the viewer. You need to put the people up there that the viewer has heard of and knows. This isn't that difficult. Paul Sorvino needs to be on the in memoriam over the lighting guy who I've never heard of. I'm the viewer. That's what matters in that spot. So this is a big deal and a terrible job by the Academy. Big deal or not a big deal? So you got the World Baseball Classic going on right now. And yesterday, Edwin Diaz, Puerto Rico, right? They were celebrating Edwin Diaz, Timmy Trumpet. Mets closer. He hurt himself celebrating. Had to be carried off the field. Look bad. This is a big deal. Now, you don't want to prevent guys from playing for their country, but it's right before it's in the middle of spring training. Edwin Diaz now could be in a lot of trouble. He may miss a lot of time. This is a big deal. That's a very unfortunate blow for the Mets. I mean, it's always after the Mets, but that's a very unfortunate blow for the Mets. Big deal or not a big deal? Hey, today's 316 Day. So what better way to honor 316 Day than to go back to the birth of Austin 316?
You sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says I just whipped your ass.
Yes, of course that's a big deal. That right there was when Stone Cold became a made man. Completely organic as well. Awesome. Happy 316 Day to everybody. Crack open a couple of Johnnies right there for your boy Austin 316. And finally, big deal or not a big deal? Nick Needham. Yesterday, Dolphins cornerback, nickelback Nick Needham. They missed him last year when he got hurt. He re-signed with the Dolphins. I believe it was a 1-year, $2 million deal. Dolphins DBs looking good. Come on now. Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, Kader Kohu, Nick Needham. We're going to get Brandon Jones back, safety. Obviously, your boy Javon Holland. Oh, man. It's interception season. That's right. What? Can't you? Nobody's open, Aaron Rodgers. Just throw the interception. That's a big deal. And that right there is another edition of Big Deal or Not a Big Deal. Really excited to introduce a brand new sponsor to the show tomorrow. We'll be doing that. I think a lot of you guys know who they are. I'm very excited to have them on board. If you're interested in joining the show, you can hit me up, jonathanzaslow@gmail.com. And of course, you can go to my Twitter account and you can see in my bio, the email is right there as well. Hey, love all you guys listening to this show, supporting the show. However you're listening, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. We'll talk to you on ZASLOW Show 2.0 tomorrow. You know what that means.